Welcome to Pleasureology Island. I'm Free Thought Steve. Thanks for stopping by. Today I'm going to show you a really important, quick way to relax emotionally and let go of emotional tension. And it involves our forehead muscle. And the reason that I'm talking about this today is that I was just watching a YouTube video where two guys were talking to each other. One guy was Tucker Carlson, who's somebody I haven't really watched before, but apparently now he's going to run for president or something. And he was talking with this other guy who was a Christian, and Tucker Carlson was a Christian, and they were both discussing variations on the imaginary scenarios that people have constructed about the unknowable. And they were trying to understand the difference between an imaginary scenario about the unknowable that would cause people to support the state of Israel and feel that it was their religious obligation to support the state of Israel, and then people whose imaginary version of the unknowable says, no, that's not essential because everybody's going to be saved regardless, and the particular fate of the state of Israel is not important. And they're all talking about an imaginary salvation. Anyway, they're talking about a lot of imaginary stuff. And what I noticed when watching these two guys talk was how deeply wrinkled their foreheads were. Every time they started to talk, you get these three lines down there, well, two lines and three portions across the forehead, like that, And if you look at that particular video was called The Origins of Christian Zionism on the Tucker Carlson channel. If you look at those guys, you'll see that every time, even when they're not talking, their forehead is like this. But when they start talking, then it gets even more so, and they're just looking at each other. And it's not that they're angry at each other, but they are wrestling with certain ideas that are hard for them to understand. And in the process of doing that, in the process of this wrestling match with the ideas, they get all stressed out and their forehead furrows up like that. Now, something totally interesting that happened to me personally regarding my forehead, after I had been meditating and relaxing and practicing Zen meditation, which involves relaxing your face completely, relaxing all those muscles, because that's when you're relaxing away what Wilhelm Reich called our emotional armoring, these unconscious habits of emotional tension. When we meditate and relax, we're just relaxing them away. When we're doing Zen meditation and trying to keep our mind completely free of thoughts, then we're letting all our face muscles relax, not thinking about anything. And in this state, what we have done is we have relaxed away all of our emotional attitudes. You see, having an internal emotional attitude toward the world, like, I'm going to figure this out no matter what. I'm a hard worker and I can work through this problem. Okay, and this sort of fierce determination to try and get what we need done. It's a very common form of emotional tension, chronic emotional tension. And when you do Zen meditation and you relax completely, what you're doing is letting go of that emotional attitude. I've got to solve this problem. I've got to work hard and solve this problem. You're saying, all right now I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to try and change the world in any way right now. The only thing I'm going to try and change is my own emotional state. And I'm going to change my own emotional state by working on myself, inside myself, by letting go of this attitude that I've got toward the world. I want to have no attitude toward the world at all, except that I feel safe and calm, peaceful and serene. Safe and calm, peaceful and serene. And when we feel that way, when we feel like we're in a surrounding that's safe and calm, we can let go of any defenses against the world. We can let go of being afraid of the world. We can let go of being angry at the world. We can let go of being sad about the world. We can just say, okay, I'm accepting the world exactly the way it is right now. I'm accepting myself exactly the way I am right now, imperfect as I am. But I will accept myself just as I am. I'll accept the world as it is right now. My job is not to change the world. Right now, the only thing I want to do is change myself, change my own consciousness, change my own emotional tone, the emotional tone in my own consciousness. I want to change it from anxiety and tension to contentment and relaxation and just kicking back and feeling totally okay right where I am, right here, right now. And what I'm doing by doing this is I'm nurturing my own health and happiness. So this is a form of self-nurturing. And what we're doing is we have our emotional brain there in the center part of our brain, the red part there. There's our emotional brain. And what it does is it controls the entire autonomic nervous system, which I've got a picture of right here. Okay, this is our body and the internal organs. And these are all of the internal organs that are controlled by this thing called the autonomic nervous system. And the red areas here, those are all the nerves running down to the internal organs. That entire system, and it includes our liver, our pancreas, intestines, uterus, external genitalia, prostate, bladder, kidney, adrenal gland, skin, heart, and lungs. Okay, all of those different organs, and including all the blood vessels in our body that raise or lower our blood pressure by either tightening up those blood vessels or relaxing them, all that stuff is under the control of our friend, the emotional brain. The emotional brain is our friend. It's trying to keep us safe. That's why it's making us anxious all the time. And unfortunately, in that case, it's not being our friend. We've learned to be anxious. We've learned an emotional state of anxiety or tension. We've learned it without realizing that we learned it, which means we learned it unconsciously. And we learned it without realizing it, and now it has become a habit, an emotional habit that we don't realize we have either. So that makes it an unconscious emotional habit of firing our stress circuits, the stress circuits that run from the amygdala to the bed nucleus of the stria terminalis, to the hypothalamus, down the spine, to the entire autonomic nervous system, controlling what's going on in our autonomic nervous system. And our autonomic nervous system can be in either of two states and anything in between. Emergency state or complete calmness state, and anywhere in between. And so what the problem is that most of us have learned to be in semi-emergency state, to deal with all the things that come at us every day. If it's not one thing, it's another. There's something we got to deal with. So we've learned to be in semi-emergency state, ready to handle emergencies at all times, but we don't realize that we have formed that habit. And so we don't realize that we need to do some intentional relaxation to calm down and get to a really pleasant euphoric state of consciousness of complete calmness and relaxation. Now, what does this have to do with the forehead? When the emotional brain gets into an emergency state, it activates the internal organs in the body, like the heart. Heart pumps faster and harder. The adrenal glands secrete adrenaline and so forth. So the body is mobilized for an emergency, but at the same time, the muscles of the body are prepared to deal with the emergency. So we get tension in our shoulders and upper back, and maybe all through our entire body, all the way down to our toes. There's muscular tension. And along with that, with every emotional attitude that our emotional brain has, it has a corresponding facial expression. And the emotional brain will activate the muscles in the face to create the emotional expression that goes along with the emotional attitude that we're experiencing, that the emotional brain has decided to have, the emotional attitude. I'm scared. I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm happy. I'm pretending to be happy. There's lots of different attitudes we can have that have a facial expression that go along with them. And one thing that all those facial expressions have in common is that they involve the movement of the eyebrows and the lower part of the forehead. And that's why when Tucker Carlson and his Christian friend are talking about these issues of theology, and to them it's very important. These are important issues to understand. We must know, we must grasp the correct version of the imaginary, or we're lost. So it's very important to them. So they have this attitude like, their forehead muscle tenses up. And you can look at that program and just watch their forehead muscles all the way through. And they have no clue that they are tensing up their forehead muscles like that. But every time they do tense them up, as long as they keep them tensed, what that tells us is that they are in an internal state of tension, an internal state, an emotional attitude of aggressively trying to find a solution to this problem. And they don't realize it. And at certain moments, I saw the Christian guy, when he suddenly thought of a really good argument against his opponents, and he was talking about his good argument, that he knew this was a great argument, his whole face changed. His forehead relaxed completely, and he was just full of enthusiasm because he had this great idea that he wanted to get across. But then he went back to thinking about, but here's what we've got to understand is this, that, and the other thing. And I think he was totally unaware personally that he was flipping back and forth between the tension and the enthusiasm. He didn't know that, and then he went right back to the other. These are unconscious attitudes that we experience. And doing Zen meditation, where we learn to clear our mind of thoughts and relax our face completely, breathing nice and gently, being aware of our body all the way down to our toes and relaxing our whole body. When we do this, we are dissolving away the emotional attitudes. We are allowing the emotional brain just to quiet down and not operate any kind of particular emotional output. See, the emotional brain is always creating emotional output. It's broadcasting anxiety and tension throughout our entire body, and we don't realize it. And what we're doing is just turning off all those frequencies. We're not broadcasting anything. We're just being calm, and we're actually feeling our body. We are opening up to the sensations from our body because we are getting rid of the imaginary images that are filling our mind. And that, of course, the imaginary images in Tucker Carlson's mind and the mind of his colleague, that's what was creating their emotional tension, was all of this cognitive thought activity that they were doing in their brain as they tried to hash this thing out back and forth. It was all of that thought activity that was creating their unconscious stress throughout their entire body. And so they have never probably yet experienced or learned what it's like to be completely relaxed, completely calm, and spend some time doing nothing but practicing being calm, practicing having our emotional brain not being excited about anything, but just accepting the present moment and feeling nice and relaxed and just enjoying being relaxed. But the one thing, to get back to facial expressions, the one thing that's common to all facial expressions is that there's this tension here in the eyebrows. Even if it's fear or anger, it doesn't matter. There's always something going on with tension in the eyebrows. And I had been meditating for 8 years. Before I bought my first EMG biofeedback relaxation machine, which in those days, 1980, you could buy an EMG biofeedback machine for about $120, I think, maybe less. And it was very simple. And all you did was you put a little headband on your head. And implanted in the headband on the inside, the side facing the skin, were 3 little discs, little metal discs. They weren't fancy electrodes. They were just metal discs with an electrical wire going from each disc. They were in the headband. You put the headband on. The electrical wire ran down from the back of the headband and over and plugged into this little box, this EMG biofeedback machine. EMG, electromyogram. Okay, it records, or electromyograph, it records the amount of electrical tension that is being given off by whatever muscle the electrodes are in contact with, in this case, right across the forehead. The electrodes, these little metal discs, recorded the electrical energy from the muscle. There are other kinds of electrodes which send electrical energy into the body. These are not those. These are simply recording electrodes. They record the amount of electricity produced by the forehead muscle and the eyebrows, and they take that into the machine. And the machine has a little needle like that, or at least the one I had, this old one, analog, had this little needle that would show you how much electricity was being generated by your forehead muscle, and you wanted to get that needle to drop down as low as possible. Electrical energy is generated by muscle cells when they contract, when they're tense. That's when the muscle cells are working hard and they give off electricity. And that's what the electrodes can pick up, is that electricity from the muscle tension. As the muscles relax and quit being active, and the muscles, are just, instead of being tensed up like that, they're just nice and relaxed, that the amount of electricity being generated by the muscle drops down. And so you might have started off at about 100 microvolts, 100 millionths of a volt of electricity. It's not very, very much, but you start out maybe at 100 before you put on the electrodes. You put them on and you start listening and you start looking at that needle, and you can make it drop down to about 20 very fast, instantly almost, just by relaxing your forehead. You can get that needle to drop down to 20. And then if you close your eyes, you can set, at least on this old model that I had, you can set a threshold for a tone. And the little beep would come on, the tone would come on if your forehead muscle started to tense up above 20 microvolts. Okay, if you went above 20 microvolts, you'd hear, and then you'd relax your muscle and you'd get silence again. So the goal was to keep the machine quiet. And so you're relaxing there at 20 microvolts, and almost immediately you can do that with no problem because the forehead is a voluntary muscle. And so you can deliberately relax the forehead. And what that will do, it'll work backwards and relax the emotional brain. Because the emotional brain, if it wants to be anxious, is going to start generating more than 20 millivolts of electricity, and you're going to hear that beep. And that'll let you know you've tensed up, and then you can relax and then silence. And so that's very relaxing to be able to relax in the silence. You can be listening to music or doing any kind of meditation that you want. And that machine will make sure that you stay emotionally relaxed for as long as you stay on the machine, because it's going to keep your forehead nice and relaxed. So that's the instant relaxation machine, EMG biofeedback. Now, they've made new machines that are all digital. They're harder to work. I don't like them as well. And now they're $500 instead of $100, or $800 instead of $100, and they don't work as well for relaxation as the one that I had that I bought for $100 in 1980, but unfortunately eventually broke. So, I'm not recommending that you go and spend $800 on an EMG biofeedback machine, but I'm recommending that you relax your forehead muscle and you learn how to relax it voluntarily. And the substitute for an $800 EMG machine is super moleskin, or moleskin of some sort, any sort. It's padding that's made for your feet to put on corns on your feet or whatever. And so it has adhesive on this side, and then fuzzy stuff, nice soft fuzzy stuff on the other side. And we want to cut a strip that will go across our forehead right above our eyebrows. So we just cut it. It doesn't have to be wide. Half an inch is plenty wide, even less, but half an inch is probably good. All right. And then you've got to peel off. This is probably the hardest part of the procedure, is peeling off the backing. I just trimmed my fingernails. Oh, come on, I've almost got it. You don't trust me, I'll get it here. Usually I use a nail file to do that with, but I don't have my nail file. Okay. Now, the first thing to do is to relax your forehead completely. Sort of look in the mirror if you can, relax the forehead, and keep the forehead relaxed while you bring this little strip up with the adhesive side toward you, and you put it right above your eyebrows like that. And there you are. There. And now, if you start to tense up your forehead like that, you'll feel it pull on the moleskin across there. And that will give you some feedback. See, that's tactile feedback instead of electrical or auditory feedback. You're not hearing a tone, you're feeling your own forehead muscles. And so this will basically keep your forehead pretty relaxed. And you can then do your meditation like this. And by the way, somebody should invent an app for a cell phone that does EMG biofeedback relaxation. If you have your own little headphones or a headband with 3 little electrodes in it that you can put on and plug into your cell phone, it should be possible. I don't have the technical expertise to do that, unfortunately. Okay, so we've got our moleskin, it's on our forehead. And we want to pay attention to our body from head to toe. So let's do a little body scan. The top of my head and my entire scalp are completely relaxed. The top of my head and my entire scalp are completely relaxed. I feel safe and calm, peaceful and serene. My eyebrows and forehead are completely relaxed. My eyebrows and forehead are completely relaxed. My forehead is smooth and relaxed. My eyes are completely relaxed. I feel safe and calm, peaceful and serene. My cheeks are completely relaxed. My mouth is completely relaxed. My lips are completely relaxed. My cheek, my mouth, and my lips are completely relaxed. I feel safe and calm, peaceful and serene. My jaw is relaxed. Let's open our jaw a little bit, about an inch. Hold your jaw open and breathe in and out through your mouth. Holding the jaw open, just breathe in and out. Now open the jaw slightly wider, not much, just a little bit. Hold and breathe. Now gently relax your jaw back to its natural position. Try not to clench your teeth. Try to keep your teeth just slightly apart. My jaw is relaxed. My teeth are slightly apart. I feel safe and calm, peaceful and serene. The back of my neck is completely relaxed. The back of my neck and my shoulders are completely relaxed. I feel safe and calm, peaceful and serene. My forehead is relaxed. My eyes are relaxed. My cheeks and mouth are relaxed. My jaw is relaxed. The back of my neck is relaxed, and both of my shoulders are relaxed. My upper arms are relaxed. My lower arms are relaxed. My hands and fingers are relaxed. I feel safe and calm, peaceful and serene. The back of my head is relaxed. The back of my neck is relaxed. My shoulders and upper arms are relaxed. My lower arms and hands are completely relaxed, all the way down to my fingertips. I feel safe and calm, peaceful and serene. My upper back and the front of my chest are completely relaxed. My shoulder blades and my upper back are completely relaxed. The front of my chest and my heart are completely relaxed. The whole center of my chest is completely relaxed. I feel safe and calm, peaceful and serene. My lower back and the sides of my waist are completely relaxed. My stomach and abdomen are completely relaxed. The sides of my waist, my lower back, my stomach and abdomen are completely relaxed, and I allow my breath to flow down into my lower back and stomach so that my lower back and stomach slightly expand when I breathe in and then slightly contract when I breathe out. Visualize the air flowing down your spine to your lower back, flowing forward and expanding your lungs in the area of your stomach and rising up to the center of your chest. And then relax your chest and stomach and let the air flow gently out of your body. Focus your attention on your legs and feet. Relax your pelvis and hips. Let your thighs and knees relax. Let your calves and ankles relax. Let your feet and toes relax. Let your whole body relax from your waist down through your pelvis and hips. into your legs, all the way down through your knees, through your ankles, to your feet, to the tips of your toes. Both legs completely relaxed, safe and calm, peaceful and serene. My whole body is completely relaxed, from the top of my head all the way down to the tips of my toes. My whole body is completely relaxed, from the top of my head all the way down to the tips of my toes. I feel safe and calm, peaceful and serene, safe and calm, peaceful and serene, safe and calm, peaceful and serene. Now continue to breathe into your lower back and stomach. Relax your waist and let the air flow down into your lower back, expanding your stomach in front. Just relax that area. And pay attention to your forehead once again. Keep your forehead completely relaxed. Feel what it's like to have your forehead and your eyebrows completely relaxed. To have your eyes, cheeks, mouth, and jaw relaxed so your whole face has no expression on it at all. And inwardly, we're feeling no emotional attitude except a feeling of calmness and contentment in the present moment. There's nothing we have to do. We're here. We're just nurturing ourselves by learning how to feel emotionally calm so that we can learn to develop a new habit of being emotionally calm instead of being emotionally tense. So once again, be aware of your entire body all the way down to the soles of your feet. Our feet are oftentimes quite tense without us realizing it. But the best way to relax our body is after first stretching it out a little bit, then lying down or sitting in a comfortable position and just paying attention to our body just the way that we have been doing. This is called a body scan. And when we do this along with having our moleskin on our forehead, keeping our forehead muscle nice and relaxed, we can really learn to tell the difference between when we're calm and when we're anxious. And from now on, knowing the difference between being calm and being anxious, when we find ourselves getting anxious, we can notice it when it happens, and then we can ask ourselves, what am I anxious about? Okay, I'm anxious about that. I don't have to be anxious about that. I'll deal with that later. Right now, I'm doing nothing but the most important thing I can do, learning how to calm down my emotional brain so that I can create a calm consciousness, because we experience the whole world through our own consciousness. And we have to have our emotional brain calm in order to have a calm consciousness and be able to see the world and deal with the world in a realistic, calm, friendly manner, but seeing the world exactly as it is and not any different. And now, let's gently allow our eyes to open. Nice and easy. You don't have to look at anything yet. Just look down in front of you. Just be aware of what's in front of you down there, and keep your eyes just about half open, and try to continue to feel your body from head to toe, and continue to have your forehead nice and smooth, nice and relaxed. Now gently open your eyes, and you can make contact with me again. You can actually wear this around, if you're at home particularly, all the time. You can wear this around, and it'll help you keep your forehead muscle relaxed. And it'll help you learn a new habit of having a calm facial expression instead of an anxious one. Okay, that's enough for today. Try and practice this. Watch this video and practice this over and over. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you again real soon.